Good evening, I'm Ian Hanamansing. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex tell their side of the story in a long-awaited interview.
I don't know how they could expect we would still just be silent.
What they had to say about the royal rift that has rattled the foundations of Buckingham Palace. More questions raised about We charities.
It appears that they're selling the same promise, the same project again and again and again.
What a CBC News investigation revealed about the charity's fundraising practices. A closer look at hidden fees charged by an international courier.
It's feeling like my items are being held ransom.
So how much of that bill is actually duty?
Knew I was the greatest all along. Yeah, I feel like Shah Rukh Khan. Yeah, I feel like Shah Rukh Khan.
Plus, from Regina to Mumbai, how this music producer's Bollywood remixes are capturing global attention. This is The National. Tonight, two very different generations of royals share two very different messages with the world. Just hours after the Queen's Commonwealth Address on duty, unity, and family, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle shared why they chose to distance themselves from the royal family. Briar Stewart is covering the big interview with Oprah Winfrey tonight. And Briar, Prince Harry joining his wife Meghan for the second half. What did you see?
Well, Ian, Oprah, who was a guest at the couple's wedding and is a neighbor of theirs in California, got exclusive intimate access. But she began the interview by stressing that no subject was off limits and that the couple was not paid for the sit-down interview. It was billed as a tell-all from a couple now outside the confines of the British monarchy.
I mean, that's the sad irony of the last 4 years, is I've advocated for so long for women to use their voice. And then I was silent.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
The latter.
The 2-hour interview comes amid mounting friction between Buckingham Palace and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The couple made the decision to leave the UK and their official royal roles nearly 2 years ago. In the interview, Meghan described what life was like for her in the royal family. She said when she was pregnant, palace officials spoke to the couple about the upcoming birth of their son Archie.
The conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
She says tabloid scrutiny and life within the royal family made her miserable and lonely. She says at her lowest point, she thought about committing suicide.
I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And that was a very clear and real and frightening, constant thought.
Before this interview, Meghan accused the palace of orchestrating a smear campaign. Last week, the British newspaper The Times ran a report where sources claim she treated some of her staff so badly that they quit. The palace, which normally is silent on anything published in the papers, said it was concerned about the allegations and would investigate, which it notably did not do over Prince Andrew's sexual abuse allegations.
Not only was I not being protected, but that they were willing to lie to protect other members of the family, but they weren't willing to tell the truth to protect me and my husband.
CBS reportedly paid at least $7 million to air the interview, which hit primetime in North America just hours after the Queen's own message.
Looking forward, relationships with others across the Commonwealth will remain important.
In that broadcast, there was no hint of the rift or some of the dark revelations made in the interview. Now, Meghan admitted that she was very naive when it came to marrying into the royal family. She didn't know just what to expect, but she said initially everybody was very welcoming to her. She said that that really changed after the tour that she and Harry took to the South Pacific. After that, the couple said that they really felt trapped and felt they had no other option but to leave. Harry revealed, Ian, that last year he was basically cut off financially from the family. He talked about how disappointed he was in his father and the strained relationship there. And while most of the interview did focus on the couple's past, they did talk about the future. They're expecting their second child, and in that interview, Ian, they revealed that they're expecting a baby girl.
All right, Briar, thanks for this.
Welcome.
So royal watchers such as Sarika Bose are keeping a close eye on the interview tonight. She's a lecturer at UBC and joins us from here in Vancouver. So lots of details in there. Sarika, what are your thoughts about what you've just watched?
Well, I think the first thing that really I noticed was that I was hearing a narrative of overcoming injustice. And so I saw a lot of words and a lot of concepts underlying the interview, words like entrapment, marginalization, racism, financial insecurity, protection. All of these kinds of ideas ran through the entire interview. And two of the most important points that were mentioned many times were mental health and self-harm, as well as racism. And the idea was that there was a great deal of racist behavior once two things happened. One was the Australian tour, and one was the announcement of the new baby. And there was discussion about not giving the baby a title, discussion about the color of the baby's skin, and discussion really about racist attitudes in the royal family. And I think that particular discussion is probably the most damaging to the royal family.
And there's going to be a lot of discussion to come. We literally have 15 seconds, but let me just ask you, are you surprised at the level of candor in that interview?
I'm not very surprised, no.
All right, Sarika, thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Well, on to other news now. The co-founders of the We charity, Mark and Craig Kielburger, say they won't appear before Parliament's Ethics Committee tomorrow, calling it partisan. But questions continue to swirl around the charity's relationship with the Trudeau government. And what Mark Kelly of the Fifth Estate has uncovered raises questions about the charity's relationship to its donors.
Mount Forest is the kind of place that wears its heart on its sleeve on every road into town. A Free the Children community, special friends to Asenatoi, Kenya. That's thanks to Donna McFarlane. She's devoted her retirement to fundraising for Free the Children, now called We Charity.
Initially, we raised just over $10,000, but then it just kind of snowballed after that. I'm certain we raised over $100,000. I'm certain.
$58,000 went to a clean water system and a classroom in Asenatoi, according to this news article back in 2014.
That was the best, to see all of our fundraising, all of our efforts, how it was helping to transform lives for people in Kenya.
What's puzzling is in 2010, a group called SVQF had already adopted Asenatoi, pledging $250,000, also working with Free the Children. According to Free the Children's own document, the borehole cost $50,000. All but $12,000 had been fully paid for by SVQF. In that same year, 2013, 1,700 people hiked up Grouse Mountain in BC for the Whistler water climb, raising $110,000. Wondering how that money was used? The club posted on its website a borehole in the remote community of Asenatoi. Same time frame, at the University of Toronto, students raised $3,000 for clean water in Asenatoi. Then we found this on the Governor-General of Canada's website in 2015, a volunteer award for an Ontario woman who helped raise enough funds to provide the community of Asenatoi, Kenya, with clean water. We Charity responded in writing, saying additional funds are needed for things like pumps, water storage and piping, or can go to other projects. Charlie Angus sits on the Federal Ethics Committee, which is looking into We Charity's ties to the Trudeau government.
It appears that they're selling the same promise, the same project again and again and again. And I think that's highly problematic.
Donna McFarlane says wherever her money went, she wants to believe it was well spent.
I don't think there's a charity anywhere that hasn't probably made errors along their way. And I couldn't say they did or they didn't, but I know that I have ultimate trust that our money was used wisely.
Mark Kelly, CBC News, Mount Forest, Ontario.
This week will mark a full year since the declaration of a worldwide pandemic. Canada appears to be getting closer to turning a corner, but Ashley Burke shows us after nearly a year of COVID-19, we won't be able to put it behind us quickly or easily.
Wash your hands well and often. Cover your coughs and sneezes.
That message delivered almost a year ago, still relentless today.
Don't lose patience right now, just as the vaccine programs are underway.
That vaccine program Dr. Tam hopes will break this crisis phase in Canada. ending lockdowns and harsh restrictions possibly by the summer. But here's the difficult news. Masks, physical distancing, all those personal measures Canadians have been following, Tam says are here to stay for many months to come, even after the bulk of the population is vaccinated.
For many reasons, because some of the uncertainties that we said about the variants, but other countries also don't have the vaccine as fast as we do. So these viruses, can come in invisible ways.
It's not clear when Canada will lift its tough border and travel restrictions, but Canada's health minister is already in talks with G7 ministers about the possibility of vaccine certificates to show proof of immunity.
The intent is to coordinate, yes, because you can imagine the confusion in international travel if there's different certifications that are required.
Haidu told Rosemary Barton Live all countries are still grappling with that cohesion and questioning if those vaccinated can still transmit COVID to others.
If you still contract a mild form of COVID, are you just as infectious as you were if you weren't vaccinated? And those questions continue to evolve.
As the government looks ahead, some doctors are only now starting to reflect on the trauma of the past year.
One of my friends who's an ER physician, she calls it scars on your soul. Every name, every patient who's suffered, who's died, even if you didn't know their name, your soul is marked by it.
She expects as Canadians start to process that, a tsunami of grief is still to come. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The number of new coronavirus infections is no longer declining. They've been stable for more than 2 weeks, but vaccinations are now taking off. In early February, when supply of vaccine had stalled, vaccination rates across Canada averaged around 20,000 a day. Now it's nearly 70,000 a day. Another good sign is the amount of vaccine distributed to the provinces, and this is the amount they've managed to get into arms over the same period. Canada is consistently using about 75 to 90% of the vaccine it has on hand, considered an indication that vaccination programs are progressing relatively well. This week, Ontario is testing a plan to roll out COVID-19 vaccinations using pharmacies. It's starting in 3 cities, and the first shots should be given on Friday. Tali Ricci shows us how it will work.
I want to protect myself,
Yeah, for sure. Helping seniors like this woman to get the COVID-19 vaccine makes this Toronto pharmacy owner happy.
Luckily enough, we've been chosen to take part in the vaccination rollout for patients that are aged 64, between 60 and 64.
In a pilot project, neighborhood pharmacists will begin administering the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine in 3 Ontario regions: Toronto, Windsor, and Kingston. Barbara Violo's expecting a high demand, but says they're ready.
Patients, they feel really comfortable coming to their community pharmacy, and we are trained to do this, so it's actually a perfect scenario.
The Ontario Pharmacists Association says the vaccination pilot will begin with 330 pharmacies, but will eventually scale up as supply increases. Their CEO says both time and supply are limited.
We've got roughly a 2.5-week period to ensure that we get all of the initial shipment of the AstraZeneca vaccine into arms because it expires on April 2nd. So we've gone through a robust approach to selecting the pharmacies based on their ability to generate at least 40 vaccinations per day.
After months of stay-at-home orders, Toronto and Peel region will ease some restrictions on Monday, but risks remain.
We've got the cases going down or stabilizing and the variants are going up, and all of the modeling shows that we're in for a third wave. However, what that third wave looks like depends on 2 things: how many people we get vaccinated and how much people still adhere to those public health measures.
Ontario says it will launch an online system on March 15th to book appointments at mass vaccination sites like this one. Pharmacies will book their own.
And we'll set up an appointment for you, okay?
Relief for some, as many more wait. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
As Talia mentioned, restrictions are being eased tomorrow in 2 of Ontario's COVID hotspots, Toronto and neighbouring Peel region, meaning non-essential stores and shopping malls can open. This comes as the number of new cases hit almost 1,300, 300 more than Saturday. By comparison, Quebec, with about 60% of the population, recorded just over 700 new cases. Also in Quebec, school sports will return a week from tomorrow. But many parents of kids in leagues want those back as well. Matt Demore tells us about a team effort to deliver that message to the province.
7-year-old Cameron Connery loves hockey, but with no team to play for this winter, all his on-ice action happens in the backyard.
So hockey was a really, really big part of our family's life, our weekend life, all of that. It was a great form of exercise, obviously, so we had to find creative ways to make sure that he was still out there moving around, and yeah, it's been challenging for sure.
While Cameron can get his sports fix by taking a few steps outdoors, it isn't that easy for everyone in Quebec. Thousands gathered at the province's National Assembly this afternoon, calling for organized sports to resume. The leader of the Parti Québécois came down to lend his support.
There are many sports that could be authorized as of today without taking any risk. I think it's an important issue of mental health, physical health.
This past week, Quebec announced that sports will start up again in schools, even in the province's red zones. Premier François Legault says a wider plan to open up sports activities is coming, and the group representing sports federations says it's ready.
We know that competition will be very tough to reopening right now, but if we can start by practice or by inside activities, that will be great.
Cox will be watching the province's plan for the next phase of the pandemic closely. While she'd consider the idea of restarting practice, normal games are another matter.
I don't feel like we're there yet with the numbers to feel 100% comfortable about going back to our organized sports. I don't really see games being a possibility just yet, but I don't want him to lose his hockey skills. I want him to keep up on his practices as well.
Worries about COVID-19 variants are still swirling in Quebec. Premier Legault says some sports can't be allowed given the risk of transmission. More details on the province's game plan for sports are expected this week. Matt Damour, CBC News, Montreal.
Some fans like to sport their team's gear, but it cost a Calgary mom more than she expected. And now she's accusing a courier of cashing in on hidden fees. And as Erica Johnson tells us, she's not alone.
It's the birthday present Adon Sinclair really wanted, a jersey of his favorite football team, all the way from Ireland. His mom wanted to make sure the gift made it to Calgary on time.
Delivery from to Canada is $25.
So she paid extra to ship with DHL, the largest courier company in the world, then waited for delivery. But got an email from the company instead, saying she had to pay another $23 first.
It's feeling like I'm being held, my items are being held ransom.
Sinclair asks why the fees are so high on a $68 jersey. The company says there's a mandatory import duty and steers her to a government website. But when Sinclair presses, she learns of that $23, only about $5 went to the government. The rest, $17 plus tax, was a processing fee going entirely to DHL.
If this is a standard fee, why am I just finding out about this now? It seems a little dirty of a company to not tell you until you have my package, and then you're going to tell me about all these fees.
Sinclair's got company online, others unhappy about DHL's unexpected fees on top of its shipping charges.
Those fees are highway robbery.
This corporate ethics lawyer says DHL needs to be more transparent.
This matters to people. And if it matters to your customers, it should matter to you as the company, and you should prioritize fixing this.
DHL says it charges a nominal fee for processing government paperwork and that information about the fee is available on its website.
Michelle Sinclair says she won't use DHL again, but says it was worth the hit to her pocketbook to see the smile on her kid's face. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
And remember, our Go Public stories come from you, so if you have a tip for Erica and the team to investigate, send an email to gopublic@cbc.ca. Violence continues to escalate in Myanmar. Daily protests and strikes have paralyzed the country. Today in some cities, security forces used tear gas, rubber bullets, and live rounds to disperse the crowds. According to the UN, more than 50 people have died and at least 1,000 have been detained since the military takeover. Pope Francis spent the third day of his historic visit to Iraq in a whirlwind. There were several stops, all aimed at boosting the morale of the country's small Christian community and promoting the peaceful coexistence of religions. Marina von Stackelberg has the story.
In the Iraqi city of Mosul, Pope Francis prays in silence in what is left of a bombed-out church. Just a few years ago, Mosul was the site of brutal violence under ISIS rule. The Sunni militant group used these churches for everything from a courthouse to a jail. Today, the Pope's message: it is wrong to hate, kill, or wage war in the name of God.
Diciamo no al terrorismo.
ISIS dominated and devastated northern Iraq starting in 2014. They killed Christians, Yazidis, and Muslims who opposed them. Others fled. Here in Mosul, the Christian population has shrunk from 50,000 people to just a few dozen families.
It's going to the heart of the woundedness of Iraq.
The Archbishop of Winnipeg says there's no better place for the Pope to bring his message.
He offered prayers for the victims, for the families, and also for the perpetrators too. Don't forget that. He offered prayers for them to have a change of heart, and also a sign of hope that Christians remain there in spite of what has happened.
In Erbil, the Pope met the father of 3-year-old Alan Kurdi. The little boy's body was photographed 6 years ago, washed up on a Turkish beach. The shocking image became a symbol of millions of Syrian refugees as they desperately fled civil war. In the Christian enclave of Kirikosh, thousands lined the street to catch a glimpse of Francis. Most did not wear masks. There are concerns the Pope's visit could lead to a COVID-19 outbreak. Iraq only received its first shipment of vaccines last week. Inside a church, others shook and kissed the hands of the Pope, who has been vaccinated. His last big event in Iraq was a mass in Erbil. At a third of its capacity, 10,000 people filled a stadium, the Pope closing with the word in Arabic for peace.
Salam, salam, salam.
Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The death of George Floyd sparked another reckoning on race and policing. Now the first trial is set to begin.
My brother said, "I can't breathe," multiple times.
Coming up, we examine what's changed since Floyd's death and the mass protests calling for police reform ahead of Derek Chauvin's murder trial. And marking a difficult year.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
1 year on, our doctor reflects on the fight behind us and the one still ahead. Plus,
I was the greatest all along. Yeah, I feel like Shah Rukh Khan. Yeah, I feel like Shah Rukh Khan.
a bit of Bollywood mixed with hip-hop. A Regina artist finds the ingredients for viral success.
You over a fin of a feel in my spirit. You want to be near it.
In just a few hours, world attention will focus once again on Minneapolis, where the murder trial of a former police officer is expected to begin. He's charged in the death of George Floyd, killed last May when the officer pressed his knee on Floyd's neck as Floyd pleaded again and again that he couldn't breathe. Video of that scene sparking widespread protests across the United States and beyond. Senior correspondent Susan Ormiston checked the mood in Minneapolis on the eve of this next tumultuous chapter in George Floyd's tragic story.
Power to the people, baby, power to the people.
On the streets, at George Floyd's Square where he was killed, part shrine, part sanctuary, this trial is stirring up high emotion. Even in church.
This officer coldly refused to respond to this plea and kept his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck, snuffing the very life out of him.
Bishop Richard Howell, preaching this morning, knows Floyd's case will reopen old wounds.
Anxious, highly anxious. Every time we see a brutality incident such as George Floyd, it takes us back to those days and reminds us just how nasty racism is in our country.
The story of his brutal death has ricocheted around the country and the world, an unforgiving reminder of racial injustice still.
No justice!
No peace!
Protesters in front of the Minnesota governor's home this weekend demanded police be held accountable for wrongful deaths. Across the street, Dr. Mike Shreve and his wife worry about what the trial may provoke.
My biggest fear is just the violence in the streets. Obviously want justice and want the right thing to be done. We just are worried about the violence in the streets.
The Minneapolis courthouse is now barricaded. Rings of security. Minnesota's National Guard has been called up. Fired, police officer Derek Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter.
Come on, back up.
Attorney Ben Crump represents the Floyd's family ever since the killing last summer.
This case is probably one of the most important civil rights cases in the last 100 years. The George Floyd case will be a referendum on how far America has come in this quest for equal justice under the law.
And we're praying for you. And
the murder trial has reignited anger and frustration, with families whose sons and daughters have been shot or killed by police, like Valerie Castile. Son Philando was killed by police 5 years ago at a traffic light.
We're not going to shut up. We're not going to sit down. We're going to stand in unity, and we're going to bring it to you.
Their stories, the backdrop to this one trial with potentially powerful consequences, says Tashira Giraway, who supports families.
What happened after George Floyd's death, the riots, the uproar, did not happen in result of one man's life. It happened because many other people were murdered before George Floyd, and nothing happened, nothing changed.
Expectations this time are high.
Susan, you've seen and are conveying the anger this case can generate. What are people in Minneapolis anticipating?
Well, with this trial live stream, concerns that bits of evidence, will come out and set off strong emotions, and also, Ian, that misinformation could spread widely.
And we're expecting a long trial. Take us through the timeline.
Yeah, jury allocation maybe 3 weeks, but we could see a verdict maybe mid-April or end of April. But as this is a trial, well, that's just a projected timeline, Ian.
Looking forward to your reporting. Thanks, Susan.
All right.
Coming up, a police misconduct investigation is underway because of how the police treated an Alberta politician.
The only person that could have taken that was an officer in uniform.
Followed and surveilled, Shannon Phillips and her staff speak up. But first, marking a difficult year. What can we expect as we head into year 2 of this pandemic? Our doctor is here to give us a dose of reality and a dash of hope. That's next.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
That was almost a year ago when all our lives were suddenly turned upside down. Fears of infection, closures, stay-at-home orders. We've become used to staying at least 2 meters apart and wearing masks in certain settings. Now there's optimism fueled by 4 vaccines now approved for use in Canada, but also concern about how the virus is mutating. As the second year of the pandemic begins, what can we expect? Well, we've been checking in with infectious disease specialist Dr. Lenora Saxinger throughout the past year, and she joins us again tonight from Edmonton. And Dr. Saxinger, let's start with the science, because I think sometimes people forget how much our knowledge of COVID has changed. What stands out to you about what we've learned?
Well, I actually have 2 things that cross my mind when you ask. One of them is how much this is not influenza. In the early days, there was a real tendency for us to compare it to influenza because that was our pandemic experience. But clinically, and the way this spreads and the way the vaccines have been developed, it's all very different. And then the second thing is that I've never could have imagined we'd have so many good vaccines already tested and already, being in use and more in the pipeline for a novel pathogen, a new virus, within a year of it starting to travel the globe. And I think that's just fantastic, honestly.
You've seen the graph of case numbers up and down, up again, the 4 vaccines approved now. What are you expecting as we begin year 2 of this pandemic?
Well, I think this next phase is going to be a little bit of a nail biter because it's going to be vaccines versus variants. And can we contain transmission while we're rolling out vaccines so that we can actually basically try to contain damage across the whole of society, essentially. And I mean that globally. So the story that we're going to see here is a race to get vaccine out and track the variants very closely.
And now we're in the midst of this huge logistical rollout, the provinces and territories getting vaccines to people as quickly as possible. From your perspective, what are you watching for?
Well, you know, this is an immensely complex task for public health, and I think it's going to be done differently in different places, and that's fine. I'll be looking for, you know, ways that we can learn from each other. How can we bring information? How can we bring vaccines to people where they are? How we can communicate about changes in the rollout as we adapt to evolving information. Because I think people want more certainty than can be given. But, you know, if we get that process right and learn from each other, I think it'll really improve things.
I keep thinking about the moment the pandemic ends and all the things that I want to do that I haven't been able to do for months and months and months. Do you think there's some things that will never be the same again as a result of this pandemic?
Yeah, I wonder if there will be a moment or if it'll be a gradient. And at the end of the gradient, I think we will have actually learned a lot about our assumptions around health and our assumptions around risk. And that this has proven that actually the things we do immensely impact our risk of infections in general. And so some of those protective behaviors likely will stay as second nature things to do. And that's actually possibly a good thing. And, you know, it's going to let us know a lot more as we start to emerge from our current practices, what's okay and what's not okay. And so it's going to be a very interesting time.
Dr. Saxinger, always great having you on the program. Thank you.
My pleasure.
BC is moving to phase 2 of its vaccination plan. Starting tomorrow, seniors 90 and older can register for their shots. But navigating the process either online or by phone can be confusing for some elderly people. Susanna De Silva looks at how community groups are helping make things easier.
Using a computer isn't the easiest thing to do for 74-year-old Linda Darby.
I can do it here with under instructions. I mean, I can manage, but it's not my best form of communication.
She uses it at her volunteer job at this senior center, and she wonders if her skills will be good enough for another task, getting herself an appointment online for a COVID-19 vaccination.
Actually, I'm quite worried about it. If there's any glitch or roadblock or whatever, then it's very frustrating.
Whether online or by phone, many seniors here are going to need help to book a shot. That's why a team is being put together.
A lot of our members have memory loss and dementia issues, so of course they might require some assistance as well.
Hi, this is Rabbi Tendler from Beth Tikva. How are you today?
Faith groups are also gearing up to lend a hand. The rabbi at this synagogue says many of its members already have questions.
What does it really look like and how does it happen? And so if we can help guide people who need that guiding and be there and stand 2 meters apart but by their side in order to get them through that line and out the other side.
For Monday morning, our volunteer will be here at 7 o'clock.
Since the pandemic started, this Sikh temple has run a food bank and given out hundreds of boxed meals every day. Now that distribution system is being used to tell people about the way the temple can help them get a vaccine.
They can call us, or if they want to be here, we can book for them, and we can give also a ride.
The temple president says he knows all too well the importance of protecting elders as quickly as possible.
I want actually everybody protected, but our elders, they need first. Actually, I lost my mother in December, same with coronavirus.
All these groups hoping the work they're doing now will help prevent COVID-19 from taking any more valued members of their communities. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
And this Tuesday, we open the floor to your vaccine questions with Our Shot, a CBC News national town hall. Health experts help us examine the science and logistics of Canada's vaccine rollout as we try to put COVID-19 behind us. That's at 8 p.m. on CBC News Network and CBC Gem, and a special edition of The National, 10 o'clock, 10:30 Newfoundland on CBC Television. Coming up, new details of the length some police officers took to monitor an Alberta MLA for a personal grievance.
There is no reason associated with the search.
Shannon Phillips speaks up about being targeted and the abuse of power. Stay with us. Political life often comes with a personal cost, but the one paid by Alberta MLA Shannon Phillips is unusual and perhaps even criminal. In 2017, as the province's environment minister, she wanted to protect a swath of nature trails. And as Carolyn Dunn tells us, she says she was targeted and followed by her local police force.
I deserve to feel safe in my community.
For nearly 4 years, Shannon Phillips has been wondering who is watching her.
It was scary. It's scary to have yourself surreptitiously photographed.
A member of the Alberta Legislature, Minister of the Environment in Alberta's former NDP government, targeted by some of the very people sworn to protect her, members of the Lethbridge Police Service.
These guys still don't understand that there's a line between your personal feelings and how you do your job as a law enforcement official.
Phillips' story goes back to 2017 when the tranquility of the Castle region was shattered by a turbulent local disagreement. At issue, 1,000 square kilometers of mountains and foothills in the Castle Provincial Park. Phillips was working on plans to phase out the use of off-highway motorized vehicles on more than 100 kilometers of trails. Many off-roaders didn't like it, and they weren't shy about letting her know.
People, would call her or cow or, cow or cow bitch.
Lisa Lambert, Phillips' constituency assistant, was on the front lines of the insults aimed at her boss.
A daily email, phone call, visitors, social media, just a pretty daily dose of name calling and just kind of generalized yelly hate.
The vile, often misogynistic rhetoric turned threatening enough. Phillips needed close protection services from the province at one point, but there were even more unsettling incidents to come. Stella's Diner is known for its home-cooked breakfast, a perfect place for Shannon Phillips to meet with friends, including environmentalists Harvey Locke and his wife, Marie-Ève Marchand.
I sit down, and right behind me was a booth. And at the time, I believe there were 2 uniformed officers, and I smile at them, I sit down, I acknowledge their presence, they acknowledge mine.
Little did Phillips know a Lethbridge police sergeant was snapping photos of the group. Soon, an on-duty constable arrived and took more pictures. It was Lisa Lambert who first saw those photos later that day in an anonymous social media post.
When I contacted her to let her know about it, she said, well, the only person that could have taken that was an officer in uniform. And when we realized that it was a uniformed officer who had taken this and then would have had to share it, they were behind this? That just was just unbelievable.
Lambert easily traced the anonymous post to one of the police officers.
I was just so sickened by a thought that someone was out there taking photographs of her, using the power of the state against a minister of the crown.
But a disciplinary investigation that Phillips was not even made aware of revealed police went even further. The constable followed Locke and Marchand in his police cruiser for 5 blocks, running a police check on their license plate before losing their car at a red light. Both officers were demoted, their misconduct found to be rooted in personal and political feelings against Phillips. Having been cut out of that investigation left Phillips wondering if there could be more. Then she started hearing the whispers. So in August, Phillips filed a Freedom of Information request on herself and the Lethbridge Police Service. The answer would come back in 9,308 pages. Curiously, almost all of them were redacted, most completely blank, even though they pertain to Phillips' own files. But there are startling new revelations in what little was released. In 2018, months after the photo incident in the diner, Shannon Phillips was still very much on the mind of some people in the Lethbridge Police Service. Phillips' name was often searched on the police database. Some of the searches were legitimate, and they said so, like that time her car was stolen. But over the course of 2018, Phillips' name was searched 8 times by 5 police officers, one now retired, as well as 1 civilian employee. And though files with highly personal information were accessed, there was no investigative purpose recorded for any of the searches.
All of that is there. But if it was a fishing expedition for reasons of snooping or wanting to engage in gossip, there is no reason associated with the search in those records.
Emily Laidlaw is a cybersecurity legal expert and associate professor at the University of Calgary. She says if the searches are unauthorized, that could violate both privacy legislation and possibly the criminal code.
So this is no different really than hacking. It's just that they don't need to break into a system to gain access to the data. They actually have it available to them, and they're supposed to exercise, self-restraint.
Had Phillips not requested her own records, the matter may well have stayed hidden forever. But now Alberta's Serious Incident Response Team is investigating all the searches.
Part of it, I think, is...
Phillips' lawyer, Michael Bates, is counting on ACER to dig deep.
If they were for a personal reason, a non-law enforcement reason, what happened with the information? Where was it spread? How did it get used? Those are really key important pieces to try and get to the bottom of.
The documents reveal yet another mystery. This one happened before Phillips was photographed or her name searched. In 2016, an unknown person went to the Lethbridge police complaining they'd been drugged at a local bar 6 days prior. The complaint alleges the intended victim was none other than Shannon Phillips. That came as a shock to Phillips.
So this was March of 2016 that this evidently happened. I'm listed as a witness in the police report, and I find out about it on December 8th, 2020.
The question that comes up in my mind is, what decisions were made as to why that would not be information that would be shared with a person who is named as an intended target?
The documents suggest the incident was never investigated. The Lethbridge Police Service declined an interview and refused to answer any questions or provide any information. Only after Alberta's Serious Incident Response Team announced its investigation into the database searches did the police service respond to say it would be inappropriate to comment on that before the investigation was complete. Shannon Phillips knows there could be more unsettling news to come from investigations and in hearings, but she says it's necessary for her hometown police force to regain its position of trust.
If you cannot find it in you to prosecute those duties in a way that leaves aside your feelings and your little political tantrums, if you cannot do that, you do not deserve the gun and the badge and the uniform.
Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Lethbridge, Alberta.
Coming up next, finding international fame through TikTok.
I got $500 in cash in case they don't take Amex.
A Canadian musician fuses genres and catches Sony's ear. Our moment is next. But first.
Get it right?
This is Spot, not just a dance partner, but a new generation of robotic dog. An Alberta refinery has just bought 2 of them at $100,000 each. They'll begin with inspection and imaging tasks, but eventually help with security and safety. Good robot. Now stay.
The only acting I do is acting on impulse, no stress pimples.
This track is Young Sharut, viewed more than 20 million times on YouTube, and the artist is Canadian rapper Tesher. That's the stage name for Hitesh Sharma, originally from Regina. He was still trying to break out when a year ago a remix of his exploded on TikTok. And what happened next is tonight's moment. The remix combines a single from Lil Nas X and a song from a hit Punjabi romance.
I go on TikTok and I found out that one of my remixes that I made like a year ago had like 400,000 or 500,000 videos of people just doing this challenge to it. I hadn't promoted it, it had just spontaneously happened. And suddenly, young Shah Rukh started to blow up on TikTok.
He credits the platform, but also his musical roots growing up in Regina, a mix of hip-hop, pop, Bollywood, and bangla.
It was all starting from wanting to take the stuff that I heard at school and mixing it with what I was hearing at home. You look at Canada. We are better because of our diversity. We're a melting pot. And the same way, music is better because it is a melting pot, because there's diversity. There's a whole bunch of different flavors to choose from. It just makes the end product better and stronger, and more people can enjoy it.
Remember the old days when you had to go to maybe like a club and get discovered? Now you can do a TikTok remix from home, and all of a sudden you have a record deal with Sony. That is The National for March 7th. Good night.